So far, when discussing Lithuania's military stuff, I've talked a lot about NATO, its multinational battle group stationed here, and the other foreign military contingents based in the country. But with Lithuania's geographical situation, you would think that some cooperation would be happening between the other Baltic countries, Latvia and Estonia, right? Well, today, that's exactly what we're going to look at. So, if you've been watching my other videos or just know about regional geopolitics already, you'll know that Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia are all part of NATO. All three are also part of GEF, the UK-led Joint Expeditionary Force of 10 nations. But there are a few initiatives, past and present, that appear to be specific to the Baltic countries. The most recent initiative made some progress in January 2024. It was around that time that the defense ministers of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania approved the concept of building anti-mobility defensive installations on the borders with Russia and Belarus. The ministers signed an agreement in Riga, which will see the three Baltic nations construct these defensive installations in the coming years to deter and, if necessary, defend against military threats. The concept of defensive installations stemmed from decisions made at the NATO Madrid summit in 2022, which emphasized that allies must be ready to defend the territory from the first meter and new regional defense plans must be developed. An Estonian government press release says that, in peacetime, no explosives, cutting wires, or other obstacles are placed on the border of Estonia. Instead, a network of bunkers, support points, and distribution lines is established. The building process is carried out in cooperation with local communities and with the agreement of landowners. The official statements from the Lithuanian and Latvian governments offered less detail. However, the Latvian defense minister was quoted as saying that the plan will, quote, be able to slow down and block the movement of potential aggressors more efficiently. During the same announcement in January 2024, it was revealed that the three Baltic defense ministers also signed a letter of intent for HIMARS multiple rocket launchers, aiming to create a framework for the joint use of the weapon system in both peace and wartime. Lithuania's defense minister at the time spoke on this, saying, "We are intensely collaborating in the negotiations with the US on HIMARS integration, personnel training, system maintenance, and service." I'll talk a little more about how this deal is part of the Baltic strategy of joint procurement a little further on in this video. There's an Estonian Ministry of Defense webpage that lists all forms of cooperation between the Baltic nations. Unfortunately, it's over 20 years old, with some parts talking about the year 2000 as a point in the future. That's not a good look. But once I realized this, it was actually helpful as a historical resource. And so a few decades ago, there were 4 initiatives between the 3 Baltic countries: BaltBat, Baltron, Bolnet, and Baltdefkal. BaltBat is the short name for Baltic Battalion, which was an infantry battalion for participation in international peace support operations. Baltron is a Baltic naval squadron, a naval force with mine countermeasure capabilities. Bolnet is the Baltic Air Surveillance Network, which is an air surveillance information system. And finally, Baltdefkal is the Baltic Defense College, a joint military educational institution for training senior staff officers. Going through the list, it looks like the Baltic Battalion, BaltBat, was formalized in 1994, and the multinational battalion had been prepared for peacekeeping tasks since 1997, participating in international peacekeeping operations together with Danish and Swedish soldiers. If I understand things correctly from this translated LRT article, from 2001, the Baltic countries put the Baltic Battalion on hold and instead started separate projects with Scandinavian countries. Lithuania and Denmark started the Litbat project, Latvia and Sweden, Latbat, and Estonia and Finland, Estbat. And then in 2012, the Baltic defense ministers decided to revive BaltBat with the signing of a memorandum on the formation of the battalion in 2014. In the most recent news that I could find on BaltBat, in 2020, the Baltic Battalion was on duty as part of the NATO Rapid Reaction Force, and it included soldiers of the Lithuanian Grand Duke Kęstutis Motorized Infantry Battalion.
And Baltic Battalion is a 3 Baltic states cooperation project for the NRF. The lead nation is Estonia, providing a Scouts Battalion with a HQ and most of the subunits, and Latvia and Lithuania will both add 1 infantry company and a couple of smaller combat support and combat service support elements.
However, as reported by Lithuania's Ministry of National Defense, there was an agreement to end this form of cooperation by 2021. The agreement, signed by all 3 countries, noted that the main means of cooperation in the future would be participation in international exercises, qualification courses, seminars, military competitions, staff talks, and other events. Moving on to Baltron, it looks like the Baltic Naval Squadron is still a thing, but is really only between Latvia and Lithuania these days. This squadron is a quick reaction naval force tasked with conducting mine countermeasure operations and training in Estonian, Latvian, and Lithuanian waters. The force also conducts search and decontamination operations for mines and unexploded ammunition left at the bottom of the Baltic Sea from the First and Second World Wars. Baltron was founded in 1998, and the most recent news from January 2024 says that it consists of ships of the Lithuanian and Latvian naval forces. So currently, Baltron consists of Latvia's Varonis A-90 and Lithuania's anti-mine ship Skalvis M53. In 2015, the Estonian government announced that it was leaving Baltron because it was unable to commit resources. It said that its defense forces were investing into a permanent minesweeping unit instead.
To my mind, the Baltron is one of the most successful three Baltic state projects.
And next up, the Bolnet Joint Air Surveillance Project goes back to the mid-1990s with an official agreement signed in 1998. The main point of cooperation was the Regional Airspace Surveillance Coordination Center, or RASCC, located in Karmėlava, Lithuania, with the Baltic countries contributing their own personnel and equipment. It looks like Bolnet, at least as a single facility, came to an end in 2019. A NATO article says that in place of the Bolnet RASCC, there would be 3 National Control and Reporting Centers, or CRCs, activated, one in each Baltic country. So I think Bolnet still exists, but yeah, each country has its own air surveillance facility, and they all cooperate with one another from a distance. And then there's the Baltic Defense College. Located in Tartu, Estonia, it was established in 1999 and is said to be a, quote, joint third-level staff college for training senior staff officers and giving them higher military education. A 9-year-old webpage from Estonia's Ministry of Defense says that it was something rather unique within the whole NATO framework, being the only one that offered internationally recognized third-level military education in English and within an international environment. Well, I'm not sure if this is still the case, so please do leave a comment if you have more details. That same page said that in addition to the Baltic states, many other countries had sent faculty members and students to the college. And so in 2015, there were faculty from the Baltic states, Denmark, Finland, Germany, Italy, Norway, Poland, Sweden, the UK, and the US. Apart from the courses for staff officers, the college also provides a higher command training course for civil servants. And then finally, I wanted to touch on the idea of joint procurement, perhaps the military equivalent to buying in bulk or buying wholesale. Because as many of us know, buying things in larger quantities is often cheaper than buying in smaller quantities. The Baltic countries have worked on a few joint procurement efforts over the years. In 2019, it was announced that Latvia and Lithuania were jointly spending 3 million euros to buy tens of thousands of gas masks. In 2021, the 3 countries signed a deal for anti-tank Carl Gustaf ammunition. In late 2022, Lithuania and Estonia teamed up to sign 2 joint procurement contracts for ammunition and medical equipment. In 2023, a joint procurement of the Iris-T anti-air defense system was announced by Latvia and Estonia. Lithuania wasn't part of it since it has its own NASAMS air defense system. And finally, on this topic, the 3 Baltic countries have been working to jointly procure the American High Mobility Artillery Rocket System, or HIMARS. Lithuania and Estonia signed the agreement with the US to acquire HIMARS in late 2022, and then Latvia signed on in late 2023. Lithuania is getting 8 HIMARS, while Estonia and Latvia will each get 6. And then one last point is that the Baltic countries maintain what is called a, quote, regular defense policy and capability dialogue. This is at the level of ministers, armed force commanders, and defense experts. The January 2024 Baltic Defense Ministers Committee meeting was chaired by Latvia, and so the rotating presidency has been transferred to Lithuania. So, you can see that there has been a lot of cooperation between all 3 Baltic nations when it comes to defense and security. Sometimes all 3 are involved, sometimes it's 2 out of the 3. But given each country's small geographical size and small population, it's great to see them all working together. And so what do you think of all these collaborative initiatives? Let me know by leaving a comment. So if you found this video interesting and want to support my work in making more videos about Lithuania, please consider becoming a Patreon patron. Members get early access to videos along with other perks. There's a link to my Patreon page down in the video description. Thanks again for watching.